Welcome to the Canonn Radio pre-podcast show, where we talk about anything that is basically not Canonn related. Enjoy it. Have you ever thought, you look at the ships in Elite, and you look at the seat arrangements for these ships, right?
Yeah.
Now, every single ship, I would suggest up to, I don't know, Python. That's me. No, I think any ship apart from the three big ones, they are all designed for one person. You can have a second person along; they're not really required. But don't you sort of think that the Anaconda, the Cutter, the Corvette, they are designed for a crew? You look at them, and the first thing that I think of is Star Trek. You've got four seats. You've got stations. They don't belong in a single player game, in my personal opinion. I mean, they're awesome to fly, apart from the Cutter, because that is just like a fat whale. But I love my Corvette. I love the way it flies. It feels nippier than an Anaconda. And yet you look around it and it's like, I'm the only person in this ridiculously massive ship that would probably require a full crew to actually fly for real. And yet there's nobody. I mean, how big are these ships in comparison to, like, I don't know, say a starship from Star Trek? Say I don't know.
Not very.
They're quite small, aren't they?
I know that for a fact. Yeah, they're
the Conda's the size of a carrier, isn't it?
I think so. Let me see. Anaconda. Hold on. Elite Dangerous size. See if I can find a length. Okay, Anaconda is 152 long. I don't know the dimension. It just says 152.
It's gonna be meters, isn't it?
It looks like it's about maybe
155 meters. So, USS Nimitz class. Nimitz class aircraft carrier is 332. Yeah, about a half.
I
mean, that's still very large.
Use your Google food to find out how long the Starship Enterprise was, the original one.
Starship Enterprise.
Because there's bound to be a measurement for that, isn't there? You know there is.
I can compare the size of the Starship Enterprise to the USS Enterprise.
Yes.
Just put a picture in this Canfaction news channel that might help.
Oh.
Really? That does not seem right. The Star Trek, it says 288 meters. I don't think that's true.
What? No. Shut up.
That might match the picture, though.
Where is it?
Wait, how many meters?
That doesn't sound right. Wait.
That does not seem right.
200 meters?
Original Enterprise, 287.
It was a very small ship. The original Enterprise was not a particularly massive ship. But then, I have to be honest, you look at the... Oh, I see. Yeah, no. They're saying that is the same size as an Anaconda, almost.
I highly doubt that.
No, I don't think that's right.
What about... What was the next generation Enterprise called? That was the NCC...
1701D.
1701? Wasn't that the original? Oh.
The 1701D was a Galaxy class. That was the biggest ship in the fleet at the time. God, I know far too much about Star Trek. I am the
That's not what I wanted. It says 42 decks. It's not what I was looking for. Status destroyed.
Yeah, it's dead now. Yes, it's very, very dead. Try the
meters. No matches.
Try the Voyager. Intrepid class?
I don't know. I'm just typing Voyager length. 345.
That sounds about right. So it's just shy of 400 meters. That would be about right. That's what I was expecting to be more like
length. The 1701D is 640.
Yeah, that sounds more like what I was thinking of. So the reason I'm asking this question, right, is that you look at the Anaconda, and my understanding is that it's all cargo and that's about it.
Yeah,
it's got a small, reasonable sized bridge, and the rest of it is just cargo and engine. So
it does have that nice observation deck, though.
What, the Anaconda?
It's got a massive glass, like half circle on the front.
Oh, well, yeah, true. I've done it through VR. I just think the bridges of all the ships are they're wasted. I honestly don't understand. This is one thing I've never understood. Have you two looked through VR on
No.
oh my life?
No.
I want to, but no.
I'm trying not to be too much exaggeration. However, it is stunning. It is literally that good. Where you can, I was lucky enough before I had my room moved around. I had a lot of space that I could literally walk around. You can actually walk around the entire bridge of any of the ships, up to the cutter, and there's working. Well, I say working, but there's stations that you can walk up to. Everything they've all got buttons. They're all detailed. They're not like placeholder bits that you get closer. Yeah. They're all detailed. That tells me they had this. They had plans to do something with all these bridges because they all look so good. It's just wasted because you're never going to see them. If you turn around and look at you use the look around feature, you can see them, but they're so far away in the screen that they don't mean much to you. If you just literally walk up to it and put your head down, you can literally see it. I think there's a guy who did some videos a few years ago. I can't remember his name now. And he basically he was flying in I think it was a Condor. I can't honestly remember. And he had like a AI that he jokes around with, and it had a little bit adventures and stuff. And he used to do that. He used to walk up to the consoles and pretend to use them to do stuff in VR. He recorded that and looked like he was in the ship. It's awesome. And I don't know. What I'm leading up to is that I think that the carriers are ridiculous. I think they should be. I just don't see the point in these carriers. They are portable space stations. They're not what I would class as a ship. I mean, they're handy. Trust me, I like mine. I could jump to the noses in 2 hops. It was awesome. But I'm not flying it, and I want to fly it. I want to fly something. So I think we should start seeing I mean, you look at that picture there. You've got the Farragut, which is ginormous. I mean, that looks like a imperial. What do you call it? What do you call those things? What they're called? Oh my god, I can't remember what they're called.
Star Destroyer.
Thank you.
Destroyer.
My word. I'll edit that bit out. Star Destroyers. I mean, they were insufferably huge. You that just wouldn't exist in any capacity whatsoever. The Super Star Destroyers were stupid. Don't care what anybody says. They were stupid. Normal size destroyers, I'd say they were about right. I mean, you would expect a fleet of such a capacity to have a big destroyer like that, big ship, but not a ridiculous thing like a fucking Superstar Destroyer. That's just insane. You'd be dead by the time you walk from one end to the other. But I would love to see, looking at that picture again, I would like to see Enterprise-sized vessels in the game that had to have a crew and were used for like a capital ship but smaller. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I can't think of a good comparison. I mean, the trouble is, I think that the capital ships in the game right now, they're just insanely ridiculously big. I just think they're too big. They make no sense. I mean, why is there a Farragut class capital ship when it's so huge that if you look at the size of that Anaconda and the front tip of that, you could easily fit 20 people in there if you packed them in like sardines. How many people could fit on that Farragut? Is there actually a listing somewhere that tells you what the crew capacity of the Farragut is?
I doubt it.
I know the Star Destroyer, I just looked it up, was 20,000.
Yeah. Why would you have 20,000 people on a ship? Why?
I mean, the only argument I can really think of, it's not a good argument, is it's the logical continuation of Owl. I slammed my knee into my desk.
Yeah.
It's the logical advancement from, I guess, today's, super carriers like Nimitz class.
Yeah, but
not the Kuznetsov.
Oh, right. So what's the
stuff like that?
So what's the crew capacity of the Nimitz class carrier then?
I did find the Farragut has 7,000 on board.
Why?
You say that, but the Nimitz class carrier has about 6,000 personnel consisting of crew and aircrew.
Why? I don't get
Because
it. I have to be honest.
Because
then
if we don't have carriers, our enemies have carriers, and they can do bad things to us.
I'm cutting this bit out too. I stand corrected. 6,000 crew.
Yes,
that's insane.
That would be comprising people who run maintenance on the ship. That's pilots, that's deck crew, that's maintenance crew for aircraft, that's people that like drive the deck trailers around and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff that happens on a carrier.
They better be really close friends.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Why do you think everyone makes gay jokes about the Navy?
True enough, I suppose. I mean, okay, my ignorance is definitely showing through there. I did not know that 6,000
to be fair, I didn't either. I thought it was
a thing.
I would have guessed about 3,000 at most.
Well, I suppose
I know a guy who used to go on a boomer sub. He told me some pretty interesting stories.
God, submarines. All right, let me see. What's the
submarines are mad.
Crew Virginia class.
Anybody who goes down in the submarine for long periods of time is a very special sort of person.
For sure.
I'm not quite sure if I admire them or fear them. I haven't quite worked out which yet.
So Virginia class submarines, which are I don't know how long, they're decently long. They have a crew of 15 officers and 117 enlisted.
That doesn't surprise because
you don't need a lot of people on a submarine, to be honest.
I mean,
those are 115 meters long.
Okay.
Just as a matter of interest, as you're doing some Google foo there, just curious, so tell me how many is the typical capacity of a cruise liner, one of the large ones. I can't think of a name though.
Carnival.
Just curious.
While he's doing that, I did post a link to a FRJ there. If you want to see some ship interior ideas, it's pretty cool from a layout perspective.
What am I looking at?
On the CFN channel, I posted a link to a YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He has done some, in my opinion, excellent work. Doing some.
Oh, I saw that
ship layout.
I saw that Sidewinder one. I remember that. That was awesome.
Yeah, I want this guy to do more. Even the box ones, I love how he fits them in there, and it's almost perfect.
Boxed edition. What's this? I've never seen these.
It's like how he fits the modules into different spaces, and he has a couple 3D walkthroughs. I mean, it just shows what we could do. As much as I want to be able to walk around the ships, though, unless they add special gameplay, I don't think people are going to use them.
Yeah, that's the thing that I do agree with. If people's complaining about you shouldn't do something, there's got to be a reason. Because that tech demo, Star Citizen, while I think I said in the last podcast, the concept of the game is absolutely superb. I mean, if it ever was a real game and it didn't take 5,000 years to actually make, it would actually be probably one of the best space games of all time. However, it's never going to get to that point. But the concept of how they designed the ships is absolutely superb because they are basically full-size ships that you can walk around and do stuff, and you have to do things in different parts of the ship. And I mean, yeah, I'm all for that. I'm all up for that, and that's what I'd love to see in these sort of like the trouble. Okay, so the trouble I think with Elite in that respect is it doesn't know what it wants to be in terms of the ships. I mean, you got like the Star Wars Squadrons, which was utter shite, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, the sheer disappointment I felt when I played that was just it was horrid. In VR, don't get me wrong, if you can ignore the jumpiness of the game, which was absolutely horrific, and I've got like a 2080 Super graphics card with 16 gigs of RAM and a 3700X Ryzen processor, so it's not a slouchy machine, and yet it was jumping like it was just tripping over itself all the time. It's horrible. However, you can look through that. The graphics were, pretty damn good. The TIE fighters looked awesome. Star Destroyer looked as epic as you expect them to do. Everything was as it should be. Gameplay, however, was tragic. Tragic is the word I would use. It was disappointing. Isn't I can't even begin to explain my disappointment with that game. Anyway, where was I? Sidetracked. Oh yeah, so
ship interior.
yeah, ship interiors. My brain just does that occasionally. Trips over itself.
I found the Carnival Cruise Line's
go on.
largest ships, the Celebration and Mardi Gras class.
That's a cool name for a starship.
The minimum and the maximum for both of these ships are 5,282 to 6,338, both of which sport a crew complement of 1,745.
So that's 7,000 in total, roughly.
Around there, yeah.
That's crazy.
A little over 8,000 if we're counting maximum passengers.
That's mad. That's bigger than some large towns.
I mean, cities.
Like, yeah, an aircraft carrier, doesn't have the deck space. It's not designed to be, carrying however many people.
Yeah, it doesn't have cabaret.
Yeah, no.
No, what I was going to say is regarding these ships and the way that they've been designed and that, I just find it odd that you've got such massive ships in Elite, and yet it just, to me, and I know I'm probably just being one of those awkward people, they don't make any sense. I mean, okay, the type 10, no, type 9 even, type 10, type 9, big massive hauler.
They're basically the same thing.
Yeah, one's got guns.
Spoiler.
Spoiler. It's designed to carry cargo. Its entire existence is to carry lots of cargo.
Yeah.
And you just sit in a little cockpit, and that makes perfect sense. It's the it's the truck of the space world. I've got no problem with that at all. But please tell me, explain to me, please, somebody, what is the point of the cutter? I don't understand what it's for.
Basking.
I don't know. Yeah, honestly.
Do you see what I mean? It has no. Okay, it can do everything, but not very well. Don't care what anybody says. It's a shit combat ship. I used to dream of owning a cutter when I first started playing Elite many years ago. God, that was a long time ago. I used to dream of having one, and when I finally got it, the disappointment I felt when I tried to turn and nothing happened. It was like, what the hell, and even fully kitted out, A-rated, engineered up to his eyeballs, and it still turns like a pig. It's like, well, fair enough. Okay, it's not designed to be a fighter craft. That makes perfect sense. But I swear to you now, I have had so much more success in the what am I talking about now? Is it the Corvette? Yeah, the Vet. Yeah, not the Corvette. Oh my god. Oh, Anaconda's made of paper. I always die in those. No, the Corvette. I love that ship to pieces. It's not got quite the same firepower as the cutter, but I don't die in it.
Corvette's firepower is more focused in the center.
I can only guess that's what it is. Because see, I have no problem turning these ships into beam boats because I quite like beam lasers. I think they're quite nice. Not against our guys. They're pointless, but against the typical idiot who tries to shoot you down, they're great. But I wouldn't want to take a cutter out with me as my primary ship to do that. And I try. I tell you what, it's fun. I tried mining in it. Mining it's quite fun. Mining in a core. Remember the diamond rush we had a while back.
Yeah.
Trying to fly the cutter through that was quite interesting.
I would not try that.
Oh, I did. It's great. If you can, I got used to it, and because you can carry so much crap, I think my cargo hold was something like 600 or 700 tons. I think it was because I didn't bother with things like weapons and.
I had a similar amount in the Corvette.
Yeah, it's awesome. I have to say, the Corvette was my ultimate mining ship of choice. That's what I ended up using, purely because I could fly it. And the Corvette to me is a military vessel designed to shoot people. That's what it's for. It just happens to have a rather large cargo hold as well, if you want one, and it's more flexible and you can do more with it, and it looks nicer. But come on, the cutter looks like an iPod.
All good Amaya ships look like
I'm a sucker for engine nacelles.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'll go with that. Get what's the other one? What's the one down from
Courier.
Yeah,
Clipper.
get a Clipper. Clippers are cool.
I had a Clipper for a
Clipper?
little bit.
Yeah.
I prefer the Courier. I like the Courier out of all of the ships. That's my favorite in terms of looks.
The
You like
Courier.
that because it looks like a fighter jet.
I was about to say it looks like a fighter jet.
Yeah, Clippers are nippy little things as well. I remember when I was lower down.
Clipper can be
Courier.
decently fast.
I meant a Courier.
Courier's clippy.
I meant a Courier. Look, it's like what 2 a.m. yet nearly. Give me a break.
No, it's 8:45.
Oh, shut
The
up!
Clipper
Shut
just
up!
looks like a Neanderthal.
The Clipper looks like Voyager.
It does have a really big forehead.
It's a strange.
I remember when Thargoids originally became a thing and
Oh.
everyone was trying to research them. I went out and grabbed a Clipper because I assumed it was also fast, at least fast enough to keep up with Thargoids. It wasn't.
No.
So I sort of ditched it and went, nah, well, I guess I'll just keep using my Courier because I wanted something with more internal space so I could actually carry stuff with me.
Yeah, they should have made the Clipper a medium ship.
So I really wish it was faster. But one of the things I was going to say while you were talking about, the size of the ships and how for their size they make no sense. I mean, we and I'm including Frontier. We don't know like the size of engines and a shield generator and a frame shift drive. We don't know how big those are. Like you look at some of the
check the channel I posted.
Which channel?
That will tell you. Yeah. It's the best guess, isn't it? It's not guaranteed that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's true.
It like I'm trying to think of a good example. Like I mean most of the space in like some of the larger aircraft today, if I have a feeling if they were designed to, deal with the pressures of space and, have shield generators and stuff, they would probably be a decent bit bulkier.
Yeah.
So I just there's the
I don't
how
understand.
much free space do we actually have in these ships? That's what I want to know.
I don't understand, and I never have understood I understand the concept of the game mechanic because you have to keep in mind it is just a game, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you look at something again. Let's pick on the Anaconda because it's ugly. I can't stand it. It looks like a Star Destroyer wannabe. You can have a D-rated engine, or you can have an A-rated engine, or you can have a clunky old E-rated engine. Now, the only difference between them, as far as I can tell, is the weight.
Well, performance too.
Ignore the performance. I'm looking at the physical size of the thing. All we've got to go on is the weight. But from my understanding, it takes up the same space because if it didn't take up the same space, then it wouldn't be able to fit in where it goes. But then it can't take up the same space.
The size ratings for.
So it's not. Ships aren't limited to size, to volume, are they? They're limited to weight only, which doesn't make sense either. Really,
I think there could be some sort of thing with like what we're changing with the engines is maybe some kind of reactor that's somewhere on our ships. Not necessarily our power reactor. This is the reactor that would deal with, fuel combustion and stuff. So I'm wondering if we're changing just rather than, an entire engine housing, nacelles and all that's sticking out the back of the ship. I wonder if we're just changing, that part of it that accelerates the particles or whatever it is we're throwing out the back of our ship to accelerate us. I have a feeling that's what's changing. And well, I could see those being different weights and maybe not different sizes. I don't know. Like,
well, it makes sense. It makes sense because if you think about the way that they make the engines different, it is not only how much power they can push out, but it's also their resistance, their durability. So you could argue, I suppose, that the D engine's got basically paper for like bulkheads or whatever you want to call them, and housing, but it's got a reasonable powerful engine, whereas the E is just made of a block of metal with a little piddly engine in the middle of it. I suppose that would kind of make sense in a way. Yeah, I don't know. I think this argument's been had before. How can you have?
I mean, yeah, there is definitely like discrepancies there. It just
Well, how can you have
doesn't
20
make
tons
sense.
of 20 tons of gold and 20 tons of tea take up the same space? That makes no sense at all.
Oh, that's a very good point.
You know,
It's because you pack a ton of tea into the canister, and then you have like a little tiny bit of gold in the same size canister.
because that makes absolute sense. Yeah,
Well,
it's one of
yeah.
the many discrepancies that Frontier have just glossed over in the years, but we just let it go. Obviously, the whole point of this entire point of questioning was this: would it not be quite cool to have mid? Well, we've got small, medium, large, and stupidly big, which we can't actually
Okay.
fly, right? Wouldn't
Are
it
you
not?
going towards the Panther Clipper again?
Yeah. So the Panther, but the Panther Clipper. Actually, no. If I'm honest, no, because the Panther Clipper is technically speaking a one-man ship, in the old games, because it's just basically a box with a little seat on the end of it. It's like a T9, but about 30 times bigger. Um, no, what I was thinking of is, as I say, I'm very antisocial. I don't think I've ever played multiplayer with any person ever in Elite. Not once. Not once have I joined any multiplayer crew. Don't care because I'm just a loner. However, would it not be quite cool to have an extra tier of ship that would be classed as like a I don't know, a extra large ship, if you like, which required the use of a crew?
Huge.
Yeah, huge ship. Required a crew. AI crew would be you could hire, which I really wish they'd bring them in. I don't know why they don't, but that's probably another story altogether. Um, and the crew is required to fly the ship. So you can have AI that can do different bits for you and not very well, and you can maybe flick between them if you want to. Like you can do the fighter, for example. You can choose to fight it, or you can choose to fly your own main ship. There's no real reason why you can't do that in like this idea of mine. And these ships would have a much higher jump range, not as much as a carrier. Maybe 100 light years as maximum after being fully kitted out, perhaps. And they could be used for like I don't know, more specialized stuff. I mean, Frontier have been promising for the last few months now that there's going to be something for everyone in the game. And while we've heard promises before from this place for years, and they've never really quite come to fruition, I'm kind of hoping that that's not going to happen this time. We'll have to see, I suppose. But wouldn't it be quite cool to have, like I say, rather than just shooting everything in sight, to have some deep space missions that we would have to go on as like a crew, and then you can actually go and do specific tasks on the ship just to make it a bit different. I mean, it wouldn't have to be hugely complicated. It wouldn't have to be like Pulsar where you have to run around the whole ship and put out fires and all this sort of stuff. I mean, as cool as that might be, I suspect that the game engine can't handle that. But it would be quite. I think it'd be really cool to have everyone in it. Each one like in the Star Trek VR game. I guess you guys haven't played that either.
Oh yeah. No, I know what that is.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with
While
it.
it was tragic, unfortunately, it should have been awesome. But again, it was just so underused. It was boring. But the concept was awesome. I've played a couple of those multiplayer games, I know. And when you got a good crew, even though they're all randoms, you never met before, if they kind of knew what they were doing and they were happy to like do what they're told and had a fairly good captain, it was actually real fun because you felt like you were doing your part of the job. You had to look after the shields, you had to make sure that the engines were working properly, you had to look after the repairs. The captain had to make sure that they knew what everyone was doing and they knew what to do next, and they had to give out. To me, that was a good game. And I don't see any reason why they couldn't implement something like that in Frontier as an added extra. It's a complete optional thing; you don't have to do it. But you know, the ships would be pretty expensive. I mean, I'd like to see them cost a good few billion. I don't know. What do you guys think of that idea? Do you think would it work?
I think I need to get you to play Warframe.
Oh God!
Because that basically exists in Warframe. What you're describing.
Yes, but it's made of tanks and I like tanks on the ground.
Not War Thunder, Warframe.
Oh, what's Warframe then? I get confused with these
games. The Space Ninja one.
Sorry, what?
So
Space Ninja.
Space Ninjas. Yeah.
Space Ninjas. Okay, that sounds awesome.
Yes, it's free too. I highly recommend it. I have like 2,000 something hours in it.
Space Ninjas. What do you
Space
do?
Ninjas. Look up Warframe on Steam. So
brief
the
version. If we start soon.
thing I'm going to tell you, the thing I'm going to tell you about with when we start in an hour, we're fine.
Uh-oh. He had to ask.
It's not gonna take that long. So the thing that I'm going to tell you about is called Railjack.
Right.
Is a very specific part of Warframe that is still, I wouldn't say 100% integrated into the base game. It's still a very contentious part of it that a lot of the community is very mixed about.
I apologize to all the listeners at this point.
So you basically have one person has a Railjack, which is a spaceship.
Okay.
And you can have up to a squad of 4 join you on that Railjack. Okay. Now, only one person has to have the Railjack. Their upgrades get, not given to everyone, but like their upgrades affect everyone.
Right.
Because they're a very late game thing and they're very expensive. So you it is once you get into combat, like I said, you can have anyone in the squad be flying, like piloting, which is very nice. So you can have the inexperienced people be up there where they're less likely to get shot at by boarding parties. You have people that are in the ship operating turrets, fighting off boarding parties, doing repairs, crafting more stuff in the back of the ship, like more ammo and more, Revelite. And then you can board other ships with a thing called a Railjack or an Arcwing slingshot that shoots you into other ships like a torpedo. And you destroy the ship's reactor and it blows up. It's really cool. But you can operate it solo. And that's, in my opinion, one of the really nice things they've done with it. You can operate it solo. You're going to have to fill all of those roles by yourself, and you're going to have to leave the piloting station to do it. But you can do it, and it feels like you're flying a TARDIS, and it's amazing.
That sounds quite cool, actually.
It is so fun. The biggest issue with it is that's just not integrated into the game well. It's very much a content island, and that's a big issue with Warframe. Warframe, in normal gameplay, is about running around a sort of randomly generated level to complete an objective that you choose whatever the objective is, and the level randomly generates based on it. And you have, different characters. Different Warframes you can choose, and they all have different powers and stuff like that. I highly recommend it. It's free. Give it a try. I will happily take you on my Railjack.
I wouldn't. No, I mean, it sounds quite cool. Actually, I mean, it's like I'm not, like I said, I keep banging on about it. The only reason I don't like multiplayer games personally is because most people are thick, and I never seem to find anybody who's actually got intelligence. It's astounding to the amount of people that I've had to deal. I used to play. Oh God. Christ, I've played so many games. I used to play thing like EverQuest 2.
Oh God, EverQuest. Okay,
awesome. But not EverQuest 1. EverQuest 1 was a bit. I played it, but it wasn't as good as I was like it would be. No, EverQuest 2, far better game. Back in the day, before whatever it is now, it was quite cool. I ran a guild, and I had loads of people in the guild, and we all did mission quests together, and that was fun times. I enjoyed that. Because I used to run. I can't remember what I called them now. It was like it wasn't a raid. It was like more of an outing, but I gave it a name. And the idea was we would all go and do these long quests that you get in the game. I don't know if any of you guys have played it or not, but you had these heritage quests they were called, and they had multiple steps. And of course, to do a heritage quest, it was better to do it with people anyway. So we had like 30 odd so people all doing the same quest or running around in the same place. It was epic. It's such fun, and that was the sort of multiplayer I like to do because it's more social.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I get that. Like, I definitely think part of the reason I don't play in public and I don't like PlanetSide 2 is one of the few like open PvP shooters I play, and Titanfall 2 is like the other.
Oh, Titanfall 2! What
Titanfall
a game!
2 is so fun. But I just see that's a big part of it for me is like if I'm playing Warframe, I'm more than likely, unless it's like a couple specific nodes, like Hydron, which everyone goes to for XP grinding. Unless it's one of those, I'm playing solo. or with friends, and I don't have a lot of friends that play Warframe anymore. So I'm solo most of the time, and it's just something I make do with. Like
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
it is very much a what else? Division 2.
Oh,
There's totally the option to, matchmake. I've been playing that a lot lately, but I do almost all of it solo. My build is almost built to be solo.
Yeah, a game has to be able to stand on its own as solo, in my opinion.
No,
yeah,
I do agree with that.
It really should be like Railjack. In my opinion, Warframe with its clans, and it has so much gameplay that is based around the possibility of interacting with other people that will make it go faster and easier, like clans and clan research. You can totally do all of that by yourself. There is nothing stopping you, and I think that's great. Division 2's clan system, for another example, needs 4 people in it to open up progression. I only have 2 friends that actively play Division 2.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like forced grouping. I hate. There's something about the concept of making you join up with people that you don't know, for example.
I think IL2 is the only game I've ever done that purposefully with. So I went and joined a squadron.
EverQuest 2 had these things called mythical weapons. But to get the mythical weapon, you had to do the epic quest first of all, which is each class had its own epic quest. You did that like.
Hello.
Who was that? What was that? Who
Grim.
Oh, hello, Grim. Welcome back, mate. So yeah, EverQuest 2 had these epic weapons. It took about it took you hours to do them. If you could do it solo, better do it with other people, but solo was cool.
Yeah.
However, once you got the epic weapon, which is lovely, which is level 50, you had to get it all good, and then they increased the game as they always do in these MMORPG games. They always increase it, and then eventually
goes up.
They brought up mythical weapons. Now, mythical weapons would be cool, except the only possible way you could do it was to do a raid.
Okay.
And
yeah, and you can't solo that, can you?
No, not.
Or you can, but it's just
you
not
can't.
possible.
You actually can't.
It locks you out.
No, you could try, but you died. You died. There was you could not do it. It was usually. I mean, I've actually tried even way many levels after because the mythical thing stopped after a long time because there were 100 now you can get up to, and the mythical was only level 60, I think. But even now, you go back to these raid quests on your own, and they're all grey to you, and you will still probably die because they were so ridiculously overpowered. You were forced to have a full raid group of at least 8 people playing it. And I think a full raid was 16. It was ridiculous, and that to me killed the fun because, I'm a what was I? I was a what was I? Dragon Knight. That's what was I called, a Dragon Knight? I think it was called Shadow Knight. Shadow Knight. I was a Shadow Knight. Oh, very awesome, very cool armor. And yeah,
I bet it was black and red.
It was just black. Thank you.
Okay.
It was just black. It was actually paid for. Well, that's not strictly true. The actual Shadow Knight armor you get in the game with well, the Shadow Knight armor in the game was all right. It was quite good. When the game moved to a different type of subscription service, you got these free shitty coins that you had to buy the crappy stuff in game, and I would never put real money into that. Why would you? No, never going to happen. However, because I got these coins for free for subscribing, I kind of bought this rather cool looking suit of armor, which was very cool. It was very Shadow Knighty, and that I had to keep it. And I had a big red glowing sword. Actually, it was red. I had a big red glowing sword. So okay, you were right.
Edge colors.
Yeah. And I had a horse that was made of fire. So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
That really ties it all together.
Black horse, fire on its hooves, fire coming from its mouth, and fire for eyes. Lovely. But yeah, I think I stopped playing after that, to be honest. When it got to that stage, because it was pointless. I mean, I didn't have time anyway. I was getting old. You get old and you do more. But yeah, those were good days. But anyway, so yes, multiplayer games. I would like to play a multiplayer game in Elite, I think, but I would like it to be for something other than shooting at rocks, pirates, or Thargoids, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I think Odyssey might be the best time.
I think you're right.
I think they'll do some. I at least hope they'll do some neat things with multiplayer in Odyssey.
If
you're going to add a huge class ship, what better place to say it than it can only land on the surface of those atmospheric world bases, and then you can lock it to Odyssey only.
If they don't do something good with Odyssey, I don't see the game surviving, because the trouble right now is that Odyssey is providing the very thing that people have asked for since the inception of the game.
Yeah.
And it's only just providing it in its basic form. I mean, I don't understand why they are... I can't quite figure out why they're limiting it to atmospheric worlds, but you can't actually breathe in them. Not really sure why they're doing that. I mean, well, okay, I can probably guess actually, so they don't have to do Earth, I imagine.
No, I have a feeling I know.
Go on.
It's something I've talked about a lot before, but I think that thicker atmospheres, even with simple shapes, you start to run into a lot of really complex aerodynamics. And I honestly don't think Frontier wants to deal with that yet.
Right, cool. Well, in that case, make some shuttles.
Shuttle is horrible aerodynamically.
Yeah, but
I think it's just like a shuttle, as in a fade to black, fade up on the planet surface type thing.
Oh, that kind of shuttle.
That's what that's at least that's what I thought you mean, like a drop pod type thing.
No, I meant like a shuttle, like in Star Trek, or in Star Wars.
I just don't think Frontier wants to deal with the aerodynamic issues that come with.
Well, I can argue that. I can argue against that. They've got shields, and shields would stop any aerodynamic problems whatsoever. There would be none, because the shield would just stop it.
It's still, even a simple shape is still something that you're going to have turbulence forming over. It's not like it's just deleting the air as it hits it.
Pang. Like, we have Thargoids coming out of which space that doesn't theoretically exist.
I want my aerodynamic design.
You want planes. That's what you want.
Yes.
And anyway, eagles can fly in an atmosphere, I would imagine. You got not the adder. What's that other thing? What's it called? The vulture. That looks kind of plane-like. You got most of them have got delta wings.
Adder has folding wings.
Exactly. The only ships you wouldn't be able to fly into an atmosphere, and with good reason, would be the large ships. Why on earth would you try to land something like a cutter when, as soon as you try to do that, the nacelles are going to fall off?
Okay. I don't know if this matters much. So there's the whole argument of, a positive thrust to weight ratio and stuff like that would just not necessarily negate atmospheric effects, but it would, help with stabilization. You could basically brute force your way through an atmosphere, which I don't think is the way to go about it, but
I would suggest that small ships you could do that with.
Yeah. But like, even those ships, unless they just aren't animated, they lack control surfaces, which is a big thing. Like, you can turn yourself with thrusters all you want, but it would be a lot more efficient. Probably a lot.
There's no control surfaces.
Well, I don't want to be argumentative at all, really, but I do. But
I don't know if they have control surfaces or not. That's the thing.
It wouldn't really be difficult to modify a ship to have some ailerons, and
wouldn't. No.
And anyway, like I say, I would limit that to
right now.
I would limit it to smaller ships. And why can't Frontier make some ships? They could do that. They could make some more ships. They could make atmosphere to spaceships. They won't do it because, of course, they don't want to spend that sort of money. But one can dream. I don't.
I mean, there's no way that we don't know that the ships we have control surfaces, because there'd be no point in using control surfaces in space.
Yeah. That's the thing. I do have a feeling that I would be willing to bet that I almost said Frontier. The federal ships have some form of probably what spoiler on, which is what the F-14 had, where it's something that pops up on top of the wing rather than control surface operating on the back of the wing. Pops up basically to induce a roll motion.
To be fair,
surprise me if
thrusters could easily do it. I don't know why people say they can't. The what do you call it? The Harrier. That's got thrusters. I know, of course, it's got wings, it's got the flaps and everything else as well. Of course it has. I understand that. However, you can fly a Harrier just on VTOL, and they've been shown you can move it around, you can go up and down, and if it had computers like it has in Elite Dangerous, there's no reason why the computers can't control that. So rather than trying to like balance it on an iPhone like you have to nowadays, the computer did that all for you, and all it's got to do is just do just the right amount of thrust in the right direction. And if it's the wind coming or in the atmosphere, it'll just make sure it counters that. That should be possible in the technology of that day, in my opinion.
That's
I mean,
probably
the Harrier, I don't. I've only flown the Harrier a bit in DCS, so I don't remember everything about how its VTOL works. But
Very
Horribly.
difficult.
it is very difficult to pull off. I've only managed to land on a carrier like twice with the thing.
Yeah, but that's manual control. Imagine if a computer did it for you.
Yeah.
Then it would be piss easy. You wouldn't have to worry about how much angle to put and all that. It would do it all for you. I mean,
I like the Soviet method with the Yak-38, where rather than having the computer do it for you, if the computer senses your plane rolls more than 15 degrees in either direction, it just ejects you automatically. That was how they prevented pilots getting killed in a rollover during VTOL. Was if it rolled more. I don't think it was 15 degrees. I think it was like 35 or something. But if it rolled past that, it would eject the pilot automatically.
In Soviet Russia, the planes fly you.
Yeah, basically.
I just wanted to add, I'm looking at a picture of a hauler right now. This thing definitely has workable rudders.
Hauler?
Yeah, hauler. There's a nice back view, and you can
Where am I
see
looking
some.
here?
You can see some cutout. Oh,
I haven't got off what you put on the thing. A hauler. Isn't that like a brick in space? It's a space taxi. Oh, I see it's a space taxi.
I don't know. My guess would just be that they didn't want to have to deal with having to program all of the
that's more like it. Lazy
additional things that would come into play with having a heavier atmosphere. Or
so the Harrier. The Harrier uses two types of flight control to provide pitch, roll, and yaw control. It has conventional control surfaces, which obviously operate in forward flight. It also has jets of what's called bleed air, which comes off of the compressor of the Pegasus engine in it. It basically funnels those to the nose, tail, and wingtips. So during vectored thrust, probably when the engines are over or swung down past like 75 degrees, those turn on. So it basically lets you control the aircraft without any airflow over it.
Well, there you go. You can fly in space.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it still needs oxygen to burn the engine.
Not if it uses ions.
Right. As long as you replace all of the components of the aircraft, then it could fly in space.
Hey, exactly. So I don't see the problem with that. That's perfect logic. That is. I've got no problem with that. Oh, that hauler is an ugly thing. It looks like a bumblebee.
I remember I used to use the hauler to get to my ships back before they added ship transfers because it was super cheap and you could instantly make it into like a super long range ship without any work.
And it looks better than the Adder.
That's wrong. You're incorrect.
It looks like an Adder with a weight problem.
The Adder has an off-center cockpit, so it can go to hell.
Well, okay, good point. Anything with an offset cockpit is just not correct. I can't even deal with the cutter.
Here, let me.
The cutter's got an offset cockpit. I hate that. It's awful.
Yep.
I use DBX for
real quick.
Bubble taxi stuff.
DBX
is awesome. Diamondback Explorer.
I don't think I've ever flown one of those.
Don't.
What?
It's the best ship.
No.
It never deserved the buff it got.
Don't care.
So it has good jump range. That's pretty much like it's got decent jump range. You can make it go reasonably fast.
There you go. In real life, the 109 had an offset gun sight.
Oh no! What is that?
It's a BF 109 offset gun sight. The reason almost all German aircraft had an offset gun sight because it lines up with the right eye, so you can have one eye looking through the gun sight and another one not.
Typical German engineering. That.
Yeah, we all know how terrible that is.
There's a picture of it.
I always found
it lost the Battle of Britain. That's how terrible it is.
Yeah. Oh God. See, it's not a pretty ship, is it? It looks like a transformer.
No. Yes,
I love it.
See,
it does look like a transformer.
I think the Diamondbacks are like one step away from just being like a construction ship. Like I feel like that is the ship that they would have like a welding arm on.
It looks like Starscream, who needs a really good diet.
I just love...
What does the Diamondback Scout look like? I can't remember.
Same thing, but
it's not too much different.
Have any of you guys flown the Cobra 4?
Yeah.
Nope.
Twice.
They won't let me
literally twice.
I've asked if I can get it, and they won't give it to
No,
me.
you've got to be special like me. I
don't think I have mine anymore.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I might have flown it for about half an hour, and then just wasn't that impressed.
It's one of the biggest wastes of time I think they've ever done.
It really is.
Not only is it not the best ship I've ever flown, but only certain
That's
people
why it's always
get it. I don't understand.
I just think it's really funny.
I'm fine with it being exclusive, but the fact that it's not better than the Cobra in any way.
Yeah.
How?
No.
What?
No. Makes no sense to me.
What? Why does Larzak know we're talking about the Cobra Mark IV?
Yeah, how?
He's listening.
He's listening to the thing.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny that so many people are so mad about it, right? Like they made this exclusive, they gave it to some people, and like everyone who I've ever talked to that has ever flown it is like, it was a real letdown. It was kind of meh. We moved on.
Yeah.
And there's still people, still to this day, that will get on the forums and be so mad that they can't get a Cobra Mark IV, and you're like, you're missing nothing.
It's the 100. It's the 100% completion ship. That's why people want it.
It's like a virgin craving a sexual disease.
I don't know if I go that far.
They know that they want
an analogy. Don't know if I'd say it's a good one, but okay.
Oh, no.
I got my reasons for wanting one. Give me a year and I'll let you know.
What is your reason for wanting one?
Give me a year and I'll let you know.
Okay.
Okay, Google.
Best ship.
Remind me in 1 year.
Best ship in existence. Asp Explorer.
Why? I hate how it looks.
Why? Did you say why?
Yeah, I want to know your reasoning. Why
it's the cheapest ship that can go a ridiculous long way, can carry quite good amount of cargo, really nippy, and it offers the best view, especially on planets. I remember we used to look for those Thargoid bases. And before we had the eagle eyes, not the eagle eyes, what do you call those things? The Thargoid doobie drops. It's the one that pointed to the planet. You had to literally eyeball it. What a ship for that! You could just.
I did that inverted in a courier.
I did that. I did it inverted in a. Did I have my? Yeah, I had it. I had my Corvette at the time. That was interesting, especially going through the valley when you go a bit too low. That was always fun. But yeah, I thought, and you could land on the damn things as well. When you go for the Guardian ruins, an Asp can actually land on them.
That's also why I had the courier, because it was small enough to fit anywhere.
Or I don't know, a DBX.
Yeah.
I don't believe in the DBX.
DBX is great at the Guardian sites.
Yeah, but it's not in pretty. Oh, we're getting a Larzak. That's quite cool. Oh, we're gonna be busy tonight.
DBX isn't real. Okay.
Yeah,
can I ask an odd question?
The Phantom is almost a just like straight up upgrade over the aspects. I agree. Cockpit view is not as good. It's still pretty good. It's not as good, but I mean, as far as internals, jump range, all that, it is unfortunately an almost direct upgrade.
Well, fine, but the Asp was the best smuggler ship.
Okay.
When that was a thing,
because of all the smuggling everyone does.
Yeah, look, back in the day it was. Can't smuggle anymore.
I do wish smuggling was like had a game loop, like in any way.
Oh
yeah, that's fair.
I love smuggling.
Okay.
Anyway,
can I ask a completely off-topic question from this?
Of course.
Sort of off-topic. Do you guys have a naming convention for your ships?
Yes.
This just got me thinking about it. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Before I even bought the ships, I had the names.
Yeah, back before there were nameplates. I had names, but I didn't have a convention. I do now.
I think before I bought Elite Dangerous, I had names.
Anybody heard of David Eddings?
Is that your naming convention?
Do you know who David Eddings is?
No.
Well, how would you know?
I don't know.
Fantasy author.
Guess. Oh, okay.
Bit like Tolkien, better. Yeah, I used to.
That's a bold statement.
Look, right. I mean, he's dead now, but I say it's Tolkien actually. But no,
Which one are you talking about?
it was very cool. Oh, you should read them. The Belgariad
What are they?
and the Malorian. It's two series of 5 books each.
Oh, I think I've heard of the latter one.
What, the Malorian?
Yeah.
It's like that's the second set of stories to the first one. So if you don't read the first one, the second one won't make a lot of sense.
I might just know it because I think a friend was reading it.
You'll totally understand this as long as you've read 10 books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem.
No Google, not Mandalorian.
No,
that's what I thought.
No. Look. Okay, so look for Porn of Prophecy.
What?
Porn of Prophecy.
Pawn. Got it.
Yeah,
Pawn.
Porn.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the first book. Now, if anybody here is actually tempted, including the guys who might be listening to this on the podcast, if you guys are tempted to read this series, and I do strongly recommend you do if you like any sort of fantasy, because it's really cool. Because it's got something that a lot of fantasy doesn't have, and that's a good dollop of humor, proper funny humor that you actually might laugh at. Because Tolkien didn't know he didn't do funny.
To be fair, he wasn't writing to be funny.
No, but that's why it was boring. Have you ever read the Tolkien books? They are so difficult to slog your way through.
I don't think I ever will.
Don't bother. People rave about his work because it's technically excellent, but it's so dull. But
very detailed.
He's too detailed. Eddings didn't bother with half the detail because he wanted to tell the story, and the way he told it was through humor, but not like comedy humor as such. But all the characters had a proper personality. Very impressive. But anyway, if anybody actually does bother to read the first book, Porn of Prophecy, I guarantee you, after about halfway through the book, you're going to say, "What is this shit?" You will. You'll be like,
what I'm really curious about is the Prawn of Prophecy, because I think that would
the Prawn of Prophecy.
More as far as what I know right now.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Look, right.
The what of prophecy?
The Prawn of Prophecy.
The Shrimp of Prophecy.
Oh, okay. Shrimp of prophecy.
No,
called out a prophecy.
But anyway,
read
the end of the book and move on to the second book, which I can't remember what it's called. Queen of Sorcery, I think. I forget it now. It gets a lot better, much better. And by the time you get to the 5th book, it's awesome. It's just a good series. And then when you're bored of that, and then you've read the Malorian, which is the 5 books that conclude the whole story, then you can go on to the Sparhawk series, which is what you also wrote. And Sparhawk has also got 10 books. Totally different world. Much more about intrigue and politics and stuff like that. It's all medieval with spells and stuff, like you do. Very, very good series of books. Highly recommend them. Why am I talking about that? I've forgotten.
Ship naming convention.
Yes, that's why. There you go. There's a reason. Yeah, so I name my ship after like elements of the books, not the characters, because that's really boring. But like that's why I got my Emerald of the Stars, which is a reference to my dead cat who died a couple of years ago, but also because Emerald is actually a name of the cat in one of the books, and Prophecy of the Void, just because it sounded really cool, and it's about prophecies. There you go. And there's other ships I've done. The only one that doesn't fall into that category of naming convention is what do I call it? What did I call my ship? Goid Buster or something. I forget now. I forget what I called it now. Yeah. Goid Botherer. I think that's what I called it. That's my crate 2. Goid Botherer. What is that?
What did you say you use, Sovereign? Hi, Larzak.
Oh,
hey,
I use
Okay, so I am very glad I was not the only one who heard you saying Prawn of Prophecy.
I heard something else.
Yeah, me too, Payne. I know what you heard.
Oh Christ!
Don't Google that though. That doesn't come up either.
The Prawn of Prophecy.
I'm going to
is
Google that.
Hold on. Entirely.
Anyone? Okay.
That'd be a good.
I'm googling what me and Sovereign heard.
I mean, as far as a comedy book goes, I feel like the Prawn of Prophecy would be right there.
Yeah, you said you use constellations as your ship naming conventions?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Oh, okay. But no one can guess what my ships are named after.
As long as
honestly,
submarines.
Don't know if I'm hanging around very long, even like for showtime, because I have a bitch of a fucking headache, and this headset does me no favors.
Oh, don't hang about. There's no point. You'd be fine.
Yeah.
Just give it away. Yeah, you popped in for 5 minutes. That'll keep all your fans happy.
But yeah, no, all of my ships are named after planes.
Really?
I am
I
creative.
have no idea.
I'm stunned.
All of them have like a proper reason behind their names, which like it's meant to fit their role. Like all of my fighters are named after fighters. My multi-roles are named after multi-roles. All of my miners are named after bombers.
That's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? Let's be fair.
I couldn't think of what to
What's
name
the
my
closest to mining?
ships.
Dropping bombs on buildings. That's nearly it.
I actually, my original mining ship, which was an Asp, I got during the Void Opal, like when Void Opals were the way to go for mining. I got it, and I was trying to think of a sort of a plane that dropped mines. So I went with B-24, and I called it Gardener because that's the British used it for what they called gardening operations, which is when they would drop mines off of their coasts. So that's why they're named after bombers. The only ship
here about how torpedoes and mines need a purpose in game.
Oh yeah, that's another thing I could talk about. But the only ship that's not named after a plane is my original Asp. My original Asp Explorer I bought by doing rare trading runs, and that's named Gravitas Not Required after inspired by the Culture series. Yeah, torpedoes. Those are fun.
What is that? Not like just a missile that doesn't go very fast?
Torpedoes can be accurately fired from somewhere around 30 kilometers. They just fucking crawl.
Yeah, and then they get shot out.
They also don't do any damage.
No, they do a shit ton of damage. They have to hit.
Yeah, the only thing they're going to hit is if the other person turns engines off and just goes to sleep.
The other issue is you only carry like 3 of them.
They're really funny for very specific sniping situations. Like you've got like the highest upgraded fucking A-class sensors, long range. I like using them. So you can sit 15, 16 kilometers away from a mail slot and just fire one. And wait. And wait.
Somebody's bound to fly into it, yes.
And then something fucking explodes in the mail slot, and you laugh hysterically as the hate mail pours in. That's pretty much the only use I've found for torpedoes.
Larzok, making friends again.
They're really they're slow and shitty, and you can't reload them. That's their biggest problem. Like they take up an entire hardpoint slot. You can't store any ammo, and you can't synth them.
That's my biggest issue.
They're effectively fucking useless, considering we can't shoot at stations, which is what they were fucking for.
Or capital ships.
Yes, and all of the big stuff that has a health pool that they just won't turn the fuck on because they're afraid the entire fucking galaxy will be depopulated in a week.
Well, to be fair, they're probably right.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, if there were ways to destroy stations, there would be no more stations.
I just want to see carriers turning against each other. Imagine all those carriers in the same spot, and they can all somehow fight each other. Oh, that'd be epic. Watching them all blow each other up because that's what you do. Yeah, not gonna happen, obviously.
I mean, I remember back in the day, you used to be able to scan stations and look in the sub-targeting and see their health numbers, shields, and what I would assume were fucking module slots. It's been a long time since I saw that.
Module slots? My God.
In a station?
Yeah.
Yes.
Huh.
They do have health and shield pools. They're just set to invincible.
I suspect the idea was that they were strategically suited for power play type scenarios where if you destroy the station, then you could take over that station and you could rebuild it as long as you don't get that taken out. I can see that being an integral part of taking over a system. I think that'd be quite a good idea, actually.
I'm just going to throw this out there with the war that's brewing. Maybe it comes back.
Well, why?
Probably
the original design documents for this fucking game made it sound so much more hardcore.
Yes. And then people went, "Oh, but no, because it will hurt." And then they didn't do it anymore. I mean, I don't want it too hardcore, but that's just my own personal opinion. I don't want to be in another Eve because that game is just ridiculous. But I do think there should be a little bit more danger going on in Elite Dangerous. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm just annoyed that like torpedoes, it feels like, first of all, there's no conservation of momentum in this game, so they go, if you're moving at 600 meters per second in your courier, you let go of a torpedo, it shoots back behind you.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
I have killed myself.
Yeah, it isn't hard to do.
It's a common occurrence whenever some asshole brings a torpedo to a PvP fight. You just stay back and let him die first.
But like, the thing I can liken them to the most is missiles in DCS, because that's basically what they are. But missiles in DCS are a one-hit kill if they hit, in most cases. At least BVR missiles are. And B, having only like 3 kills in an entire flight is perfectly fine in DCS. That's not fine in Elite. And that's I think the big issue with only being able to carry like 6 torpedoes. It's that you just can't do anything with them.
I think the trouble
Get rid
is
of all of them, and that's it.
the way Elite's been designed is to be TIE fighter with big ships.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work.
No.
I like TIE Fighter. That was a good game. Sorry.
Still fingers crossed for combat rework. That'll probably make everyone have to redo their engineering, but that's better than not having a combat rework.
Yeah, I think we're going to get Elite 3.
They're probably focused on ground combat now.
I would not be...
That better pay a lot.
Oh, I bet it's crap. I bet you
I don't know, I'm curious to see what this salvaging is. I mean, they threw out that there's going to be a salvaging outfit.
I'm very worried that they're going to introduce another currency.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Dev Diary.
Not
it
surprise
sounds
me.
like they are 100% putting in a third.
I mean,
currency.
they might not call it a third currency. It might be like
currency.
Materials,
arcs.
but
like, yeah. I keep forgetting about arcs.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it was all new materials.
Because I mean, I've heard him say outright, like, billionaires will not be able to buy the best suit right out the box. So, like, there's going to be rank unlocks for certain shit. There's going to be a different.
I mean, I get why they're doing it. I get why
get.
they're doing it from a game development perspective. It makes sense.
But it sucks.
Yeah, it does suck.
Well, I mean, how much gameplay loop would there really be for you if you could just walk in the day it's released, own everything? Why would you play?
Well, I understand why they're doing. I get it. I understand that, like, they didn't like the fact that people went fucking immediately and just bought
6 carriers.
A carrier day one. Yeah, like,
still think that should be linked to
you
rank.
have a carrier now. I agree there, but a lot of shit in this game should be linked to rank. You should not be able to buy an Anaconda as a harmless fucking trader.
No, I agree with that.
You can.
Well, you can't buy a cutter and you can't buy a Corvette, so why should you be able to buy an Anaconda?
That's a thought.
Why can't an Anaconda be a
I have seen harmless vets and cutters.
I mean, you don't have to do any combat to get it.
Why would you have to do combat to own a cutter?
No, I don't have a problem with them having to get the fact they've actually worked to get the cutter means they probably have some idea of how the game works.
Yeah,
that's my problem. You can get Anacondas, especially with some of these money exploits over the years, and they can just.
It's not even exploits.
No, it's true.
It's just how money works.
Basic mission loop.
I do. The carrier was. I don't know what they were. Well, I know what they were thinking, but they weren't thinking. I still maintain you should have to be top rank of any of the powers to get one of those, because that would stop anybody getting it unless they put the work in, and then you wouldn't have a quarter of the carries you got now.
I have a thing that I'm going to admit right now. My friends who I taught about mining during the LTD rush, with 66 and 68 hours total in Elite Dangerous, both have Anacondas.
Yeah, and if they went into PvP, they would die instantly.
Yeah,
which is fine.
There's a new member of the squad. They got us second place in trading so far, basically single-handedly, and they're harmless. They've been in the game for less than 2 weeks.
Trading at this point is pointless. In terms of rank, it means nothing.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
I made Trade Elite from Broker or Tycoon or something in under a week, I think.
I'm going to hit Trade Elite, and I haven't even mined over 700 tons of material, and I'm kind of proud of that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. The only reason that I did the Diamond Rush is because I wanted a carrier because I just had plans.
That's why most people did it.
But more because, as you know, I wasn't playing the game for a while. I've been at the game for quite a while for many different reasons. Yeah. And when the carriers was announced, I thought to myself, well, maybe this is a good time to come back. Maybe there's actually going to be a point to these carriers. That hasn't happened yet, obviously. But I did put the work in, and it was still, even though it was I would be well. Okay, so fair point here. I did not know about the egg for quite a long time. I did it the old-fashioned way.
I never used it, anyways.
Oh, I did eventually, but I didn't for a long time. I made about 3 billion until I realised the egg was actually a thing, and then I thought, well, fuck it, I've done most of the hard work. I might just finish off and do it this way. But I did do it the long way around. It took me a long time to start building up the credits because, as I recall, that's right, because I started playing it, and then of course they said, actually, we're going to just push it back a bit. We're not going to release carriers in September. We're actually going to release it in whenever it was. I was like, really? I think it wasn't there a misunderstanding. Actually, they didn't say they were ever going to release it at that point. It was just everyone thought they were.
No, they were.
Was it delayed twice? I can't remember what happened there now.
It was a pretty significant pushback.
Yes, there was it's going to be year delayed, and then we all got a bunch of my group got on and got their shit together, and it's like, okay, carriers are next month,
right?
Time to grind. Started grinding, and then delayed again. Bam! Immediately, no one played.
And I think I did exactly the same thing. That's what I did.
We didn't seriously touch Elite again until carriers were a thing in the game.
I picked it up like a week
and then
beforehand.
we spent like 2 weeks fucking going absolutely shithouse crazy on mining. St. Herbert, praise be to his glittering holes.
Yeah, I think the worst part for me was just watching it all happen. Like looking at FDev's like financial like projection for this year. They knew this fiscal year that ended a month ago was going to be down. Was going to be the only month that Elite Dangerous was not going to grow. Like they expected Elite Dangerous money to shrink because they literally weren't doing anything. Like they weren't releasing anything. They weren't doing content. The game was just completely on a standstill. And like I saw that and I was like, oh man, I really hope that that's not what they're doing. And then just like, yeah, I mean, I was also in the same position where I didn't play for probably 6-8 months because just nothing was happening in the game.
No, that's why I came back, as it were, because when I started hearing about all these things that might be happening, I made a beeline to Canonn Discord to see if they knew if anything was going on, if there's anything I've missed or whatever, So I'm prepared with my carrier. I don't regret getting the carrier at all. I mean, the fact that I can travel 1,000 light years in half an hour, I've got no problem with that. I think that's awesome, because it is cheat mode, and I have got so much money at the moment that I can power the carrier for about 6 months without even doing anything at all.
Man, 1,000 light years in half an hour is pretty slow.
If you
very slow.
Yeah, but look at
it's good for 2 jumps though.
Well, that's what I mean. Look at the work I don't have to put in. I don't have to sit there.
I just don't like that.
I'm a very slow jumper.
Fucking off for a half an hour to go 1,000 light years. Like that is absurdly slow for me. Like I do the Colonia to bubble run in about 5 hours. So like only moving 1,000 light years in 30 minutes, I am fucking up.
That's like 5 weeks for me.
I think it's different though, because I mean,
can't do that.
If you think about it this way, I don't know how far does your ship travel? What's jump
53
range?
53 fully laden.
That's quite a high jump range. That's more than the average jump range if you don't like seriously overpower your jump engines and all that sort of stuff.
See, but
really
I also
50?
I also carry weapons and shields.
I think you're cheating. But anyway,
I think I know how to engineer.
Honda can hit 80.
But if you
I mean, it really depends on what your ship is for, right? Like I have a jump condor, right? It's built, has some landing shields, has the weapons that I want to carry for science and all that, and I'm still running, 68, with a little bit of cargo. Now, yeah, I mean they're not amazing shields. I'm not rocking huge weapons, but I'm still doing everything I need to do, and I'm still jumping a lot.
But isn't it better to carry all your ships with you?
Yeah,
That is the advantage.
No.
No, like right now, I really wish I didn't have to fucking move this carrier the way I'm moving it. Like,
I mean,
having no plottable route, having to sit here and fucking shovel tritium into it like a goddamn fucking train.
All right,
is
fair enough.
retarded.
I think the jump range is a bit too limited for the amount of work you got to put in if you don't just buy it. I mean, I just buy it because I'm filthy rich. But I mean, if you have to mine it yourself, I mean, my intention, if they do actually come up with something good for this whole game, and there's actually some proper exploration and science and shit involved, my plan is, of course, to go off into the deep somewhere with my carrier and be as self-sufficient as possible. Which should be possible, should be quite easy as long as you've got a few hundred million in the bank, which I have. That shouldn't be a problem. But the mining of the tritium, my God, that is horrendously slow. I mean, I don't mind working.
Yeah,
they have fucked it up.
Well, I mean, my thing is when you're out in deep space, what do you need? Like, you don't need fighters.
Yeah.
How do you know?
You don't need cargo ships.
Now, how do you know? The whole point of this is what I'm hoping is that you will need to have something like that.
I mean, I've done 2.5 million light years. There's nothing out there.
Yes, but that's because they haven't put it there yet.
I mean, I agree, but as
you're
of
gonna
right
have
now,
to be able to pick up Raxla and bring it back to the bubble when you find it.
Exactly. And if you don't do it, then you're going to be laughed at, and no one's ever going to speak to you again.
I mean, if I find it,
kicked
and
out
it
of
can only
Canonn,
be in a fleet carrier, then I'll jump my fleet carrier out there.
It better be gone by then.
It'll go somewhere else.
Exactly. It'll disappear. It's like Jack Station. It'll just disappear one day, be gone.